Europe must be united and we need to move the world. And that's why this COP is so important.
As extreme weather ravages parts of Europe and the rest of the world, the latest round of UN climate change talks, COP27, takes place in Egypt in November, and EPP Group MEPs will be there.
We need to make progress on the targets, and that's why Europe not only having targets, but also showing how we deliver them.
I think that we have been talking a lot, but it's also time for action.
The ambition will still be high, because while there's a war going on and there are difficulties in relation to finance, nevertheless, all the evidence is there that we are in a very strong climate and biodiversity crisis.
This year is another opportunity to keep doing climate diplomacy. Europe has been the leader in the fight against climate change.
A leader by example. Lydia Pereira is co-chair of the Clean Tech Group.
This is a cross-party initiative that wants to bring together projects, companies, businesses, academia that are committed to fight climate change. And this is very much related to technology, for example, carbon capture, storage and utilization.
Among actions to decarbonize Europe that other countries could follow.
We definitely need to decarbonize industry, but we shouldn't de-industrialize Europe. Because if we have no emissions, but no steel, no chemical industry, nobody will follow us. So that's why we have already negotiated targeted derogation for companies like steel industry, aluminium industry.
There are a lot of new technologies coming on board pretty rapidly, which will help us to reduce emissions from agriculture, and also, of course, to improve the biodiversity of the agricultural environment.
That's why getting the private sector on board is key.
A good example is now this green steel company, an industry that is growing, flourishing in Europe. It comes from the Nordic countries. But this is a good example of how we can pool our efforts and resources together to address climate change.
Meeting those goals requires all the EU27 on board as well.
I think it's very important that no one can take a free ride in the climate work ahead. It's very important for all the countries in the EU to deliver.
That also means contributing to developing countries.
It's an African COP, and African countries do not emit a lot, but they have a lot of problems with climate change, with drought, for example. And that's why we need to mobilize money for Africa.
With funding that could come from the EU's emissions trading system, or ETS.
At least we get a commitment from the member states in law that they will give more money to the developing countries. The income from the ETS is increasing substantially. The price is at 70 euros. It was at 10 euros a few years ago.
All actions needed for COP27 to be a success, pushing climate goals forward with a united EU27 working toward carbon neutrality while keeping industry and jobs at home.